My name is JC Meyer. I work in Lee County, Florida as a manager in public safety technology for the 911 program. I started off in network engineering in the cellular industry. Then I segued into public sector, starting off at Lee County as a CAD administrator in Premier CAD. I segued over to the E911 program to oversee the technology in the emergency communication centers. The main focus is the telecommunicator needs to locate the caller and the emergency as fast as possible. Having such an effective tool to do this makes their lives easier to save lives of the callers. It's important with the Aware Map having the phase 2 hit overlaid with the Rapid SOS with that integration at the same time so that they can gauge the accuracy of the location. The ability to have additional resources are also important. I've talked about Rapid SOS, but with Aware, not only are they overlaying the alley and the Rapid SOS locations, but you could also pull in other Esri layers, which is a big deal, having the native Esri format, such as boundary layers, road center lines, site structure address points. If you wanted to put, zoning for your agency, you can overlay that layer as well. It's all possible in Aware. Telecommunicators having access to real-time information is key. Having the alley instantly come over from Vesta, having the Rapid SOS information come seamlessly right away as the call is being presented to them gives them that ability to locate the caller as soon as possible. The other capability of the Aware Map is having dispatchers who can proactively monitor the map while there are call takers taking that call, and they set up the emergency response ahead of time for that call before it hits their queue. Being able to differentiate between old and currently active calls allows them to accomplish this to pre-plan, which is humongous. Having the real-time information hit, not only for the call taker as they're talking to the caller, but also real-time so that dispatch can also pre-plan the emergency response that they can be sending to that incident. The Aware Map Event Monitor does a great job of displaying the history of the calls and the current calls. Here at Lee County, what we wanted to accomplish is making sure that we had quick glance visibility as to the state of the center and what the call flows look like. So what we leveraged with the rules engine is a different color scheme depending on the state of the call. For instance, if the call is finished and it's done, we change that call and highlight it gray so that once you look at the event monitor, you instantly know your eyes are going to the current calls. On top of that, with the remainder of the current calls, we highlighted the call for the current agent who's on that call. So if you have the alley and the Rapid SOS events, those pop out at the call taker so they can instantly see the call that they're on, but also see the other active calls within the center. The other huge advantage of the Aware Map is having the address column so that when calls are flowing into the center, all of a sudden, they could look at the address column to identify if there are other calls for the incident that they're on, such as a traffic accident when several people call at once, and you're trying to get through those calls to make sure you can find the people on the incident that are on scene who can give you the best information. There's also the risk of when there's a large incident like a fire or a traffic accident or a power pole going down, that when you have that huge inflow of calls, that there are other calls waiting and they're in that fluster of all the other calls. So if by using Aware and being able to identify, oh, okay, there's a lot of other calls on that street, it must be the traffic accident. And so by processing through those calls more efficiently and effectively, now we can get to the stroke call. and save that person's life. Being on a cloud is a huge advantage. When you're dealing with a product that's on a server in the back room and you're trying to apply an update, you're limited. With Motorola and Command Central using the cloud, when we were able to push updates, it in no way affected the live operation. Within the state of Florida, we have large natural disaster events such as hurricanes, such as Hurricane Irma in 2017. It affected Collier County, Lee County, Hendry, Glades, Okeechobee. It affected about 6 or 7 counties, some of which their 911 went down. And so by using a cloud solution, it would have helped them, because in some of the counties where they were affected, they still had internet connectivity, right? So they could have still used the Aware map. It would have been functional still. I also see during hurricane events, what we could be doing within the next 5 years is having interagency visibility. So it would be a big advantage for Collier and Lee, or 2 neighboring counties, when they have mutual aid response for fires or hurricanes or tornadoes or any type of event, that we would be able to go off of the same sheet of music, the same map, and see our responders both, if we were able to tie in CAD resources to see the responders both arriving on scene, or if there were calls coming in on our boundary, if we were able to see the neighboring county who's on the same platform, we would be able to see exactly what's going on. Being on the cloud is a huge advantage because our PSAP manager can remotely log in and see what the status is of his center. So it's a huge advantage. Within the next 5 years, there's a lot of integrations that are going on. Aware's leveraged the Rapid SOS integration, and it would be nice to pull in even more data so that we have it all to our fingertips. We could pull in possibly DOT. If we could pull in DOT traffic cameras, it would be nice for the call taker, while they're on the call, have the correct location of the caller, and then pull in a layer of DOT to where they can click on a traffic camera and pull up that intersection. They have a better accurate depiction of what's going on in the scene. They were working off of 3 different maps, and we've successfully been able to go to 2 maps, and pretty soon we're going to be able to go to 1 map so that they're not hunting all over the place. So having the GIS and the development and the network experience kind of ties it all together, because it all intertwines in 911. It's an honor and a privilege to serve my community that I live in. My family lives here, my friends live here, my wife and kids, and I get to affect and improve directly emergency response and 911 for those that I love around me, to make sure that the 911 network stays up 24/7 every second of the year, to make sure that we're all safe.